running for the United States Senate?
No, I do not. And that's the other reason that I am resigning as director. I will continue to have plenty of contact with businesses every day as I do. I'm on the phone with CEOs and decision makers literally as many as a dozen times a day, every day, Monday through Friday. I will continue to visit businesses. I will continue to talk about how we can help them. But when it comes to actually negotiating the transaction and the deal and signing commitment letters, I will no longer do that because I don't think that's appropriate. So I'll have plenty of contact with businesses, but I will not be involved in the negotiation of transactions and deals.
Lieutenant Governor,
yes,
I asked Secretary of State Jennifer Brunner today, and she said both of you are friends and you've been talking on the phone. But I asked her, I said, what makes her a better candidate than you? So I want to ask you the same, Anna, what makes you a better candidate than her?
I'm going to tell you why I think I'm a great candidate. I'm not going to tell you why I think I'm a better candidate than Jennifer. I'm going to let others make that comparison. I'm not going to make the comparison. But I'll tell you why I believe that I would be the best and the strongest candidate. First, I think it's fair to say passion. I wake up every day, and I have for just about ever since I was in 6th grade. A little delusional in 6th grade, I admit, but thinking that I could change the world. I didn't, by the way, in 6th grade. I tried, but I did not. I did beat Billy Riley for president of Brunner Elementary School, but that's another press conference. But here's the bottom line. I believe that to be an effective public servant, while a resume is important, and I'm proud of my resume, it is insufficient. What you need is the fire in the belly and the passion to engage in public service at the highest levels and to make the greatest difference. Someone asked me at the time I was trying to make the decision, which didn't take too long, to accept Governor Strickland, then Congressman Strickland's offer to be his running mate and to leave the Center for Families and Children. And the way I described it to them was that my mission in life is to make a difference that is deep and broad. And I've had some jobs in which it was broad but shallow, and in other positions in which it was deep but narrow. The Center for Families and Children was a wonderful opportunity to make an impact that was very deep, but it was, in the context of the state and the nation, very narrow. To be able to be in a statewide office, like Lieutenant Governor, like Attorney General, like the United States Senate, or Governor, is one of those unique opportunities to make a decision, make an impact on people's lives that is both deep and broad. And that is my passion. That's just not something I'm thinking of doing, it's what I've done my entire life. And then I would add on top of that, once you get past the passion, which to me is the indispensable ingredient to public service, is the fact that I believe that my experience is on point. I think it helps to understand the legislative process if you're going to be a United States Senator. I served 2 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate and passed more bills than probably any other legislator during those 10 years who was in the minority. Why? Because I knew how to reach across party lines. And passed most of my bills when I was in the minority, not when I was in the majority. When I was Attorney General, the opportunity to work with crime victims, to work with law enforcement officials, to work with governors and others who I served as their legal counsel, and to work with men and women who had been ripped off by people who didn't care about them, just cared about themselves. Those are opportunities that ground you and make you realize that these jobs are there primarily to help people who don't necessarily have a friend or a champion. The time I spent as the CEO of the Center for Families and Children made me realize that we public officials sometimes fly 20,000 feet above the ground and we swoop in for a tour and a press conference, but then we really don't understand what goes on the ground. One of the reasons that Ted Strickland, I think, is such a phenomenal governor is that he spent so many years on the ground. As a prison psychologist in a children's home, as a minister, he didn't just go right to the United States Congress. It's why he was a phenomenal congressman and why he's even more phenomenal governor, because he was where the rubber meets the road for a lot of his life. And that's, I believe, why my time at the Center for Families and Children is invaluable to serving in public life. And then finally, the opportunity to work day in and day out, 24/7 on the single most important issue in the world today. And that is economic growth, development, and the retention and creation and attraction of jobs. So is there a lot I still have to learn? You bet. There are lots of things I still have to learn. I still learn new things every day in this position, but I think I'm extremely well prepared and well motivated and energized to not just run for the Senate. That's much less important, but to serve as the United States Senate.